Hi there, folks. We're on 6.3. We're going to deal with price and the size of pizza in the area of circles. You may think circles deals with geometry, and certainly it does, but we're on exponents right now, and when we're dealing with the area of circles, it involves exponents and some things related to linear and nonlinear growth. So the first part of this video and your notes are going to deal with the basics of areas of circles. Once we're done with that and done some practice problems, on the back of your notes paper, we are going to look at costs of pizza, area of pizza, and do some graphing with that. So let's get started. For your notes, you probably remember from middle school, formula for area of a circle. The area, A, is equal to pi times the radius squared. And so there's our exponent involved in everything. We'll take the radius and we'll square it as we're going through this. We're going to get to pi shortly, but let's look at some of the other things that are important related to geometry as a review on this. The area of a circle, and I want you to fill this in your spaces. I've got 3 spaces for you. The area of the circle is the amount that's covered there. So you can make a little circle and fill it in. The labels that we use for area of a circle would be square inches or square meters. So inches squared is the label. Meters squared, that would be another type of label. Millimeters squared, whatever the measurement piece is, it's squared, 2-dimensional for area. Okay, the diameter of a circle, there's our center. The diameter is distance across. It's the entire distance across. That's your diameter. And we use inches or meters for that measurement. The radius is from the center to the edge of the circle. Half of the diameter, that's going to be important as we get going on some things, but the radius fits like that. It's also measured in inches and meters as well. Okay? So that's that part. Hopefully you have that down. Pause it if you need to rewrite anything. Next bit of piece on our notes talks about pi and what pi is. There's our symbol for pi. It's on calculators. We had Pi Day in March 14th, and that's 3.14 because the number that we call pi is, it's an unending number. We don't know what the last digit is. And in my classroom, above this board, you can kind of see if you look at it in my room, the pi for that. We call it 3.14. We round it to the nearest hundredth. But what it actually is, it's a ratio. And if you take any circle, you could take a big circle, a little circle, any circle. And if you measure the distance around the circle, which is the circumference, and you divide it by the distance across the circle, the diameter. And we're going to eventually talk about pizza. In the pizza measurements, if you go to a pizza store, pizza place, and buy a 10-inch pizza, that means that the diameter of the pizza from here to here is 10 inches. 5 for the radius. Each radius is 5 to make up the diameter. So back to pi, get it, pizza pie and pi. For any circle, take the circumference, measure around, then measure across, it will always be 3.1415926, blah, blah, blah. It goes on forever. We don't know the last one, but it's this amazing ratio that always happens in math and in life. So if you got nothing to do on a Saturday afternoon, find a circle somewhere and measure around, then divide it by the measure across. It will be 3.14. In our case, folks, we're going to use 3.14. If you don't have a calculator that has the pi button, sometimes you might want to use the pi button to do your math, like multiply or divide by pi. We will be manipulating pi, meaning multiplying it or dividing by it. So let's do our two practice rounding. Rounding, we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so round to the nearest hundredth. H-U-N-D-R-E-D-T-H. Round to the nearest hundredth. That's two places. Okay, now let's do the two teaching problems. So if our formula is area equals pi r squared, we have two variables. We have the area, which could change, and the radius, which could change. So if we're given one of these two, we can find the other. Pi is constant. So in teaching problem 1, we need to find area. And the problem I'm going to give you is this. The radius is 5. So for our circle, it's like the one I just gave you, the radius is 5. How do we solve that? We don't know the area, A. It's equal to pi times 5 squared. Order of operations tell us we have to do 5 squared first. So area equals 25 pi. You can do 25 times the pi button on your calculator, or you could do 25 times 3.14. The answers will be slightly different in terms of rounding, but not enough that I would mark anything wrong, obviously. There's no, in a sense, right answer with rounding type of differences. And what that means is, if you do this math, you will get 78.54. If you do this, you'll get 78.5. I would mark both of them right. And the label on this would be inches squared. That's the area of a circle with a 5-inch radius. Remember when we're dealing with pizza. If it's a 10-inch pizza, that's 10 across and the radius is 5. So if you're finding the area of a 10-inch pizza, this would be the formula that you use. Do not use the diameter when you're finding the area. It's the radius. Really important on that one. Okay? We got one more left for a teaching problem. Put our formula back up. It's always good to put the formula on the paper when you're doing the math, so you can kind of fill in from there. So area equals pi r squared. Teaching problem 2 says, let's find the radius. We're given the area. What if the area of the circle is 180 square inches? So we have our circle, and that area is 180. We got to find the radius. So area 180 equals pi radius squared. Divide by pi, divide by pi. So divide by 3.14. That's what you need to do. So you get r squared equals 57.32 when you divide by pi. Then you have to root it, and that's what we've been doing. Root it, r equals 7.32.